Hello, Mr. Scott Corey. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us. I hope it's a helpful use of your time this evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where are you right now? Are you in the Richmond area?
Yes, I'm at home in Richmond,
Nice.
just across the Nickel Bridge on South Side.
And fabulous. Well, good. Well, we do these webinars monthly, and glad you could join us. We also record them. A lot of folks sign up and aren't able to make it, and so we send them to everybody who signs up. So we'll see who joins us, but
Yeah.
I typically find I usually have 2 to 5 folks join me, and then we usually send it out to about 40. I think we had about 40 people sign up tonight.
Okay.
We'll be able to actually kind of talk to you directly, Scott, or whoever else is on here. We got a couple more people on here.
Hmm.
Um, Feel free to engage. Feel free to turn off your screen and just listen, whatever you want to do. But
Yes, sir.
if I see you, I'll probably talk to you. Have we ever met?
Yes, sir. I was shopping for mortgage for a duplex back in the spring.
Oh, good.
And anyways, long story short, I'm here, and that experience of dealing with uh, 25 plus lenders and then narrowing it down to you and a handful of others really made me, excited and wonder why I would shop for just one door. So I want to, I'm interested in more doors than just one.
Okay, that's great to hear. Um, did you go ahead and buy that duplex?
And not yet.
Not yet. Okay, cool.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
we'll have a real estate section, and I'll be sure I kind of focus on there as well. Um, we'll get started here formally in about two minutes, just to give some
Hmm.
folks a chance to show up. This is pretty 101 base. I ideally want to do a game of money 102. Um, There's a famous book, All I Ever Needed to Learn, I Learned in Kindergarten. And so in some ways, if this is just the basics, sometimes that's good. I mean, the basics can help us all. But when we get to the real estate section, Scott, we can kind of focus there as well. Have you
Okay.
owned rental property in the past?
Yes, briefly, yes, for a
Briefly.
few years, for
Great.
a number of years. That was a home in South Florida that we rented out for approximately 7 years, and then we renovated. And long story short, we ended up in the housing situation in
Oh boy.
2008, and ended up selling that property on a short sale many years ago.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks for those of you who have joined us. I'm Greg Cowart, and let's get the presentation up. Here we go. We are at 6:02. I have a couple rules. I'll go over them in just a second, but one is we're going to end on time. So we will end around 6:45 at the latest, 6:40. I've got Scott I'm hanging out with on the screen. We do invite folks to this webinar, and then a lot of people watch it. We post it on our website and we send it out to everybody. So whether you're joining us live or watching this recorded, I hope this information is helpful. I am the leader of a fearless team of 15 human beings who help folks with the manufacturing process of getting a mortgage. We help about 25 to 30 families get a mortgage a month. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I have learned the game of money, which is an interesting game because where do we learn it? A lot of people learn it from their parents or grandparents, but if you haven't learned it from your family, it's hard to learn it unless you read books. We know a staggering statistic, which is that 70%, it's actually about 68% of Americans, if asked to come up with $1,000, could not. And that just goes to show our culture and how much we spend and how much debt we just culturally keep. and how just weak we are at just basic financial wisdom. So here we go. Oh, there it is, Scott. It's all I really know I needed to learn in kindergarten. This will be kind of basic. I hope it is helpful for you, whether you're just trying to scrape together your first $2 or you're a little further along the money game. I hope there's something here you'll enjoy. We have questions all the way through. We'll break at 6:45. We'll learn some basics, and sometimes the basics are all you need to go out and do great things. You know, golden rule, treat each other the way you'd like to be treated. If you just followed that, you do real well in life. We're letting in some folks as we go, but I will be breaking for questions. Remember, we're not looking for perfection. That doesn't exist in this blue ball we live on. We're just looking to make progress as we build our wealth. We're going to cover as much of this as you want to cover. We're going to cover budgeting, investing. Specifically, we're going to cover savings. A lot of folks, once you start saving money, it's like, well, what do I do first? So I'll be talking with you about the order of savings. We'll touch on everything from taxes to credit scores, paying off debt, what order to pay off debt in, what's good debt, what's not. We'll even target insurance. And again, I'll stop a lot and want to interact with you as much as we can. Let me see here. Feel free to interact. Feel free to put yourself on mute. Feel free to not interact. All that's just fine with me. Okay. Sometimes the simple things are the hardest, and the game of money has a lot to do with delayed gratification, which is saying no to something today to say yes to something tomorrow. Discipline, hard for us all, whether it's eating, going to bed on time. Patience, every journey starts with the first step. And that's what we really want you to do. Wherever you are, just take the next step. All right, where do I start in this game of money? First, you should start with a monthly budget. A monthly family budget is the cornerstone of wealth building. We have 120 families call us every month to get started. And don't look to the mortgage lender to tell you how much house you can afford, because we can qualify you for way too much. So I say to folks, hey, how much can you afford? And that really comes back to budgeting. People don't know how much they can afford until they run a budget. So if you look at your screen right now, Scott, I need you to be my guinea pig. Can you see this right there? Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So what I want to show you all is if you go to our website, it's my last name, thecowerteam.com. And then you come over here to resources. We have a webinar called Budget Like a Boss. And just like the presentation you're watching right now, this is actually recorded and is on here. So one of the things I've found is if you want a budget and you go online, it's really hard to find a good budget. So in Budget Like a Boss, we will give you everything you need, instructions, a guide, and I actually give you the budget that I use. This budget was talked to me about 10 years ago. It's a great spreadsheet, really easy to use. It was used in a mortgage and real estate class I took for 5 years, and you can't outgrow this budget. You could make $5 million a month, and this budget works great. You could make $5 a year, and this budget works great. So if you ever wonder, well, where do I get started? Budget Like a Boss right here on our website under resources, webinar is a great place to get started. Is it the perfect budget? I don't know. But I'll tell you guys, I am just getting better. I'm 53 at discipline. Discipline's hard, but I do this budget myself every month. And whatever you focus on expands. My money has gotten a lot better since I started doing a monthly budget and counting my money every month. And you see it right there. It says own your money, don't let it own you. Basically, you either tell your money where to go or it's going to go wherever it wants to go. So back to our presentation, the first place to start, this is really number 2 in our series. The first is number 1 is Budget Like a Boss. Now, we also have a podcast. Take a look at your screen. And here's my podcast. We've got the Game of Money is actually here on the podcast, and we've got a budgeting podcast. If you're interested, Scott, specifically you, this is a really good one, which is knowing your investment type. I just sent this out to somebody today. It's probably my favorite. But we do have a podcast. It's called Straight Talk Wealth and Real Estate, and that's a good podcast. And you can actually listen to our advice on budgeting. Um, we're trying to keep folks to just touch budget once or twice a month. If you do a monthly budget, you don't have to go look at your balance all the time. You can just touch it once or once or twice a month. I'll take a break in a second. Let's do one or two more slides. Why play the game of money? Freedom. It's delayed gratification now to have freedom in the future, flexibility, legacy to pass on to your kids. Everyone has a different goal. Being able to afford what you want, not having financial restraints. I'll ask you a question, Scott. If you have $1 million in the bank, how much does that translate to per month for the rest of your life? Now, it depends on your age, but in general, take a guess. If you save $1 million, that's going to give you how much per month for the rest of your life?
I want to grab my calculator.
Just throw it out. I'm using you as a guinea pig because you were sweet enough to put your face.
I'll say 20 years.
Oh, but how much, sorry, how much per year would $1 million generate for the rest of your life if you saved $1 million?
You mean in interest or investment return?
Yeah, how much could you pull out per year? Let's go interest. That's fine. Yeah.
Not very much, maybe 50 grand.
You nailed it. It's about 50 grand, which is about 5% interest.
Mm-hmm.
You could pull out 50 grand a year for the rest of your life, but it's hard to live off 50 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I start looking at, let's say you want to live off for your family 100 grand a year in retirement, plus Social Security on the side if it's still around, you would need to save $2 million. $2 million. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of discipline. So this class is kind of helping you with where to start. We like this is a great principle. You'll see a couple of these online. 50, 30, 20 is my favorite. You can also see kind of a 50, 40, 10. If you make 10 grand a month net, remember the government's going to take about 30% of your money or more. The more you make, we have a slide on this, the more they take. Whatever your net is, let's say you net 10 grand, you would put 5 grand towards needs, 30 grand towards wants, 20 grand towards either savings or paying off debt. Because really, you don't want to start saving until you paid off your debt. And we'll get into that later. So I love this rule. If you make 5 grand, try to use 2,500 towards your necessities. That would be housing, food, transportation, those sort of things. 30% goes into a want bucket. If you can handle 25% in a want bucket, great. 20%, great. But I thought this was a nice slide just to kind of keep it easy. So for example, 100 grand a year, you'd take home 70, 5,800 a month. You'd have 50% for your needs, which is 2,900, 30% for your wants, 20% for savings or debt. You could have 3 categories in your monthly budget and use 3 different colors. There's a lot of ways to do this. But guys, as I talk to people about home buying, people don't even know this. When I ask how much can you afford in a house, I mean, this is a great guide here. If you're making 100 grand and you have no car payment and you don't eat a lot, perhaps you're good up to 2,500 a month. So I like the 50, 30, 20. Down here at the bottom, you could do a 60, 30, 10, which is a little bit nicer. That's 60% for what you need, 30% for what you want, and 10% for savings. But either way, just starting with budgeting and focusing on watching your money will be the first step. You can outspend any income. I'll say that again. I don't care if you make $1 million, your tastes move with your income. I see very wealthy people who have no money, and I see people who are librarians and have 75,000 and have plenty of money. In our business, we have a joke that the older the car the person drives up in to meet with you, the better their financial profile is going to look. And I can say that's oftentimes the case. I don't see my break yet. There it is. Let's go ahead and hit some questions right now. Scott, questions so far? Anyone want to chime in with questions? I think I have a chat box here as well. You can also stick questions in the chat if you have any questions. All right, I like to stop. I like to do that. All right, we'll go ahead and keep rolling.
I had a question.
Yeah, Scott.
Home equity. We have X amount of home equity in our primary residence. We're doing well with our debt, our consumer debt. We paid most of that off in the last year. But is it better to use that money towards further investment, like we talked about purchasing a income property? Or is it better to get rid of the consumer debt or the bad debt?
Great. Let me see if I can just push through here and get to that.
Mhm.
We're going to skip past kind of debt payoff list. There we go.
Because I heard this phrase recently, they called it, dead equity that you're not
Yeah,
using.
we call it dead presidents. Yeah. All right. So what that person's talking about, that's a pretty aggressive approach to home equity. We do see people that would take out a mortgage. I have a lot of seniors call me. So they could buy the house, they could own the house outright. So $500,000 house, 500 grand, they could pay for cash, but they don't. They may only put down 250 and take a 250 mortgage. You with me so far? Because they don't like dead presidents, which means that they would rather take that extra 250 and put it in the market. And let's say they have a financial professional that can earn them 10%. The house grows in appreciation regardless of what you owe. So whether you owe a lot or owe nothing, the home's still going to continue to go up at the same amount. So Scott, that would depend upon your risk appetite, your feeling on using what we call OPM or other people's money to build wealth. A more aggressive person would say, heck yeah, we could use. Now, if you called me today and wanted a home equity line, it's going to be 8%. So the delta between 8% and 10% is not worth it. So it also depends upon what you're investing in and how you can borrow the money. My 2 cents is it depends on your stage of life. I think if you're in the younger stage, 30s, 40s, I don't mind being a little more aggressive. I'm in my mid 50s. At this point, I like trying to work to pay off homes. Well, Greg, you could take the equity out and invest it. Well, I've done well in other areas. I don't need to. But it is an okay area, but I would be really careful about who I'm putting that money with to be sure I'm not paying 8% and making 5%. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's called dead presidents. It's quite true. And I bring it up to clients and they say, well, Greg, what's the right answer? And I say, well, what's your risk appetite? Because there is no right answer. A lot of this stuff. On the left, get rid of this stuff. Credit cards, installment loans, that's a car loan. Consumer loans, high interest debt. We're okay with some debt. Student loan is good debt, typically, unless you've overdone it. A mortgage is good debt. An auto loan, if you need to get back and forth, is good. That's an okay debt. It's going to slowly go down over time. Work towards paying off the credit card first. The credit card, I've heard things said like it is the prison of the American. I mean, it will keep you in poverty. First, hit the high interest cards almost before savings. I'll show you savings in a second. Then we're going to hit other high interest, then lower interest. Finally, your auto loan. We love paying off an auto loan because that 500 that you pay towards the auto loan now can go towards savings. And at the back, the way back student loans. Different administrations depend upon how they've used student loans. For a while there, everyone was hoping these would go away, and some did. But I would pay off student loans last. We do know that typically people who have college educations earn more over time. Debt snowball versus debt avalanche. Scott, you ever heard of this stuff?
Not yet.
I'm a snowball fan. The debt avalanche would be kind of a nerd who loves calculators, but pretty much debt snowball would be I'm going to list my debts from smallest to largest. So I have 100, 500, and 1,000 owed on a debt. Okay, I'm always going to start with my $100 debt. I start with my smallest debt and I hammer it month after month as much as I can pay until it's gone. Now I'm used to paying now $100 a month to make it go away, let's say. Now I go to my $500 debt and I put my 100 in that I'm used to paying and I throw another 100 on top of it. And now I have 200 a month. Now I pay off that $500 debt in 3 months. You with me? Now I go to my 1,000 and now I take the 100 I was used to paying on the one card, 100 I was used to paying on the other card, I add 100 and now I make the $1,000 debt go away in 4 months. This is the debt snowball. You don't worry about the interest rate. You just start with the lowest debt. Why does the snowball work? Psychology. It lets you say, hey, I did it. I stuck with it for 3 months and I paid off a credit card. And now you take what you paid there and you throw it in the other. Debt avalanche is the same thing, but you just start paying off your highest interest rate card first. If I told you to pay off a 10 grand card and you made 75K a year, it's going to take you forever. You don't get the psychological win of a card going away, which is why I'm not as crazy about the debt avalanche. But that's how you make your credit cards go away. You guys, you don't need a ton of credit cards. I pull 120 credit reports a day. This fallacy that I need to have a lot of credit to have a good credit score is just not true. After you get your debt under control, limit your credit cards. Ideally, I'd like you to have two. Well, Greg, that's going to hurt my score. No, it won't. It is true that closing old cards can hurt your score and everything in moderation, but keeping your balances low versus your max and just having 2 or 3 cards is all you need. Let's stop there. How was that on the debt side, Scott? Was that helpful?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
All right. You asked me another one. Let's go to this. Greg, what's the best way to invest? The best way to invest is to not pick one bucket. It's to basically spread your risk, to invest a little bit in each different market share. Why? Because they all go up and down. And by putting a little in each different item, I mean, Scott told a story earlier of real estate really did him in. It kicked him in the teeth in 08, 09.
Yes, sir.
By the way, since World War II, Scott, take a guess at how many years since World War II real estate values have decreased annually. So per year, how many years have real estate actually gone down since World War II? That's 1945.
Not very many.
6. And 4 of them were 08, 07, 08, 09, 10.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, typically real estate's a nice, safe investment over time, but it's not going to get you rich overnight. Look down at the bottom for the different buckets. Yes, buy some real estate, buy some stocks, invest in yourself. This is a really weird thing, but technically investing in yourself, whether it's a course, a class, reading a book, spending time on your health, that's an investment. And it's okay to take some risk. Well, Greg, I have all my money in crypto. That's probably not the smartest approach. Well, you hate crypto? I love crypto, but just be sure you're putting your money in different buckets. Someone gave me this advice. It served me well. Do I love real estate? I do. I own several homes. Well, are you like a slumlord and you own 100 homes? No, just a couple. I have some stocks. I have a 401k. Homes go up 5% a year, basically. And that's a nice steady number. They've done that since 1942. Guys, the average home in Richmond is around 400 grand, probably a little more. That's 20K a year. 20K just for opening your door and leaving every day. Absolute first key step of building wealth is home ownership. You can deduct some interest, and the tax deductions do help as you pay your mortgage down and the appreciation goes up. We have that nice crocodile, which is wealth. And Scott, how long you owned your house?
Since 2001.
Yeah. And a lot of folks dip back into their home equity to help them, and that's a normal part of being an American. You've seen your equity grow substantially?
Absolutely.
Should I hire a financial advisor? I'll just be real quick. If you can set aside $1,000 a month, sure. Under that, don't. A lot of financial advisors also might want you to have 50 to 250K saved already. I typically, if your life's having some complex events, the death of a parent who has assets, if there's some complexity, I love a financial advisor. If you have significant assets, I like a financial advisor. Otherwise, it's called the S&P 500. It is the 500 average of the stocks, and financial advisors can't beat it. It's a crazy statistic that when you try to get the smartest people to beat the S&P 500 index over time, they can't do it. Some can, but consistently year after year, you win by taking the average. I love financial advisors. I use one. However, I think typically I would tell people don't pick stocks, just buy S&P 500, and a lot of financial advisors would agree with me. I'll stop there. Any questions, Scott? Compound interest. I'm going backwards. You got me all moving around. All right. Basically, compound interest is when you earn money on your money and that money grows and then you earn more money on that money. Compound interest works on all these items on your screen. It is the key to wealth building. Warren Buffett basically says it's the seventh wonder of the world. If you invest 100 grand, this is a nut statistic at 22, and you never put another dime in, and you can get a 10% return. What would that be? 18 years later, you open back up your account, that 10 grand has turned into $452,000 because of compounding interest. It happened slowly and then real fast. Well, how did that happen? That's compounding interest. Now, is a 10% return possible? It is. It totally is. It's on the high side, but it is possible. Here's another one. This is nuts. Look on the right. This talks about the importance of getting started early. I didn't have any money until I was 40. But if you can just save when you're young, Investor One starts at 25 and sets aside 5 grand a year. So it's not that much for 10 years. When 10 years later, they don't put another dime in. Investor Two starts at 35. So the first investor started at 25, the second investor at 35, and does the same thing. Puts 5,000 in per year. Remember, Investor One only did it for 10 years. Investor Two does it for 30 years until they're 65. Look at the blue line. It's crazy. Investor One only did it for 10 years, but because they started early at age 65, and by the way, they stopped after 10 years, compounding interest has gotten them a value of 787, 780, almost $1 million. Investor Two, who had to save for 30 years, at 611. Compounding interest, it's not how much, but it's when. Not good. It doesn't matter to me. I'm in my 50s, but same thing's true. There's a great saying, what's the best time to plant a tree? Yesterday. What's the second best time to plant a tree? Today. So no matter where you are in the game of money, just getting started with the discipline it takes to stick money away is really critical. Here's how to save money, folks. Everyone's at a different spot. First, set up $1,000 emergency fund. Scott, do you remember the statistic we started with? What percentage of Americans can't even come up with $1,000 in an emergency?
70%.
70%. So if you can just set up a savings account and get $1,000 in it, guys, you've done better than 70% of Americans. Is that a staggering statistic? Google it, look it up. It's true. Now, can they get debt to come up with $1,000? They can, because that's what we do. We just borrow. But 70% can't come up with $1,000 liquid in an emergency. Okay, so that's first. Second, save 1 month of your spending money. Now, we call this survival number, and if you follow my budget, in column 3, do you see that blue column? You actually tabulate your survival number. My survival number is $7,000 a month. If I stopped with my maid and I stopped going to restaurants and I stopped doing all the fancy stuff, I need 7 grand to pay my bills every month. Do you know your survival number, Mr. Scott? Take a guess.
It's about $5,000.
So first, save 1,000 bucks. Second, Scott, for you, it would be save 5,000 in a savings account separate from the 1,000. Now you've earned the privilege to pay off debt. Because the biggest problem people have is they pay off debt without having savings. Guess what happens when life goes wrong, which it does every 30 days? They go right back into debt. So the step one, get 1,000. Step two, save 1 month. Now you start tackling the debt snowball. Number 4 is interesting. If you have a 401k from work and you're not taking advantage of it, you're making a mistake. So now number 4, you would contribute money to any 401k match at work. Number 5, instead of having 1 month survival, that'd be 3 months. For Scott, that number's 15 grand. Now, once Scott saved 15 grand on the side, Greg, that's a lot of money. Yeah, but it feels really good. Because nothing bothers you too much when you got $15,000 sitting on the side. Emergencies will happen. Now, Scott has earned the privilege to start paying off lower interest cards, car loans. And now after he's paid off that debt, now we're ready for him to save either 10% or 20% of his money and start putting it into an S&P index fund. This order we can debate. Different investors might say different, but I think this is a pretty consistent, stable order. So don't worry about the next one until you've done the one before it. It's that simple. So Scott, related to your question earlier, should I take out equity to pay off debt? I would tell you no here. I would tell you the answer you don't want to hear is focus on the budget, do it once a month, watch every penny, and then start to just work through these steps. It's the not sexy answer, by the way, because it's hard and takes longer. Now, this all comes from the budget class. I won't talk about it. Let's say you love stocks. I mean, you can do stocks eventually but people who are smart will tell you buy stock in a company you're nuts about. Like just a legit company. Scott, is there a company you're nuts about?
That's a fine question. Not yet.
Costco. I don't know how Costco does it, but it's a good experience for me. So I could buy stock in that too, but nothing's going to beat the S&P 500. Nothing's going to beat it. All right. Any other questions from my on hold people? Scott,
I think there's questions in the chat, maybe.
Oh, good. Oh, you can help me out. Although I can, let me see, go in there. Christy. Okay. I have CDs, several staggered CDs, stocks, savings, bonds, 3 paid off homes, 2 are rentals, large amount in savings. Where else can I put it? This lady, who is this? This is Gail. Gail, well done. You were well on your way of the game of money. Scott and I were talking at the beginning. I want to make a game of money 2 and a game of money 3.
Awesome. So then I would need you to come off camera.
I'm off mute. I'm on 2 calls.
Oh, no problem, Gail. And you can just listen in too. 3 paid off homes, 2 are rentals. So Gail is starting to live off of rental income as well. If you listen to my podcast, this is more my approach. I'm trying to pay off houses so they become income sources. Gail, you are ready for a financial advisor. Do you know how they work?
I had a couple, but they weren't, it was like they were more interested in selling me products. I already have paid up life insurance policies because that's what I asked for. I didn't say, can I just get a life insurance? I said, I want to pay it off. One of them I paid cash for. The other one I just kind of paid on till it was paid off. So I have and I've already paid to my arrangements. So I don't have that left.
Yeah.
I just need to, because the savings account isn't making me any money. It's just.
Yes, ma'am.
It's financing the bank. I don't want to do that.
And your age approximately, Gail?
70.
Okay. Gil, I have been through 4 financial advisors in my life. I'm going to generalize, and whenever you paint with a broad brush, I do not have a high regard for financial advisors.
Yeah, I'm kind of mistrustful myself. I don't
I
want to.
agree. A lot of them are out to sell products. I would be happy. Scott may have one. I would find your richest friend and ask them who their financial advisor is. Okay. I am not
Okay.
rich, but I've done well. And the man I use says, this is what he says to me. It's a true story. He said, first of all, he was a client for 10 years. I helped him buy a bunch of houses and he never once asked me for my business. I had to ask him, can I work with you? And I saw his
Okay.
tax returns. He's very successful. And he believes in real estate. You see, a lot of financial advisors don't believe in real estate. They want all your money so they can stick it in an account. He takes 1% of my money's total per year. And he says to me, my job is to get you a certain return. And every year he tells me the return he's going to get, and he gets it for me. And it's kind of like I wouldn't want his job because I tried to pick stocks and I was terrible at it. My return is typically between 10 and 15% a year. And so I don't mind if he takes 1% because he's doing better than the S&P index fund.
Okay.
He meets with me and my spouse twice a year. He's humble. I respect him. He's a great guy. I am not telling you to use my guy. I'm telling you to find someone that you respect and ask for a financial advisor. I don't want you to buy any more homes because homes are a lot of work, aren't they?
Yeah, and the money is in that escrow and I think I've made them maintenance free. I just have to pay taxes and any other kind of maintenance that comes up, and the homeowner's insurance.
I thought that if I could make $2K a month in rent every month, I could keep that $2K. And now I'm learning that's not the case. And this financial advisor, just this past appointment, helped me with the rule. If I make $2K a month, count on keeping $1K. 50% of the rent will go towards maintenance, vacancy, taxes, insurance, miscellaneous costs.
Okay.
So although we could buy another rental, at the age you've said, I think having a financial professional take some conservative plays with you. And you know what else? You can actually hire them that are fee-based, where you just say, hey, can I pay you $500 for 2 hours of your advice? And that's called a fee-based fiduciary financial advisor. And so that could even be a great way to go as well.
Okay, well, I would love some suggestions.
Cool. Will you jot down my email?
Okay, I'm
Or I
ready.
can, it's just Greg. It's my first name, Greg, and it's at thecowertteam.com. Greg at thecowertteam.com. And I'll give you 2 different names of people I trust, but also trust your network. We call it the bigger pile theory. If you love Mustangs and you want to own a bunch of Mustangs, go find somebody that owns a bunch of Mustangs and shut your mouth and ask them, how did you do it? And do exactly what they say. And so go find the person in your life that's done a good job of accumulating wealth, not inheriting it, but accumulating wealth, and go sit down and take them for a cup of coffee.
I don't have many people like that. That's why I don't tell anybody
Well,
what I have.
then let's go ahead and pay someone that someone recommends. And life insurance, I got this screen here. My guy told me, don't buy whole. Just don't do it. And you've done it, which is okay. A lot of people have bought it, but it's not a great investment. And by kind of doing 2 things, it doesn't do either well. Typically the recommendation is that life insurance is a great investment, but that you should buy term life insurance. If you want to invest, invest. If you want life insurance, buy term life. There's no cash value. Whole life insurance is an amazing tool. And there are very wealthy families in our country who've learned how to use whole life insurance and the loopholes that our government has written in to build wealth. but that is more for the 0.1, 0.2% than for the common person. So I do believe in life insurance, but term life's going to be a better way to go than whole or variable. Will and trust. Gail, do you got a will or a trust?
I have a will and a trust.
You do or don't?
I do.
Nice. You don't need a trust unless you're Gail. You got to have a lot of stuff and be confusing before you need a trust. A will is fine. I do like hiring a local professional versus the internet for a will. Scott, any questions on wills or trusts?
Yes, for example, in Gail's example, would you put the homes that you own in the trust?
The rentals are in the trust, but not my primary residence, and I did hire a professional to do my will and trust.
Yes, you would put the houses in a trust.
Like
And
in-
Gail's done that too.
Like
So
even your primary, any property, any assets that you own, I've been considering creating a trust, putting that in a trust.
I put my primary in there. And I do need to update the trust and the will.
I think of the trust and putting it all in the trust as a love letter to when you die. One of my close friends just had his brother die suddenly in Colorado on Friday night. He was 50. And we don't know when that day is going to come, but the less of a mess we leave behind, the more of a gift for those that are our heirs. And Gail's going to be fine. Her will and her trust are going to take care of all of her assets. Putting property in the trust streamlines the process a little bit. So yes, I would put the primary residence in a trust. But I don't. The other thing I've learned is I have to go back every 5 years and redo it. Gail, when's the last time you redid the trust?
I'm past due. I think it's
Okay.
been 7 to 10.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to the discipline. It's tough to stay on top of all this stuff. Money becomes a job. Keeping track of your money and doing all these things. But yeah, a will for most folks, a will is more than sufficient.
Okay.
Young adults, we're just trying to avoid debt. That's it. If you're in your 20s, just avoid debt. Try to do some basics. You saw my compounding interest slide. Try to save anything you can. Middle adults, this is when you get poor. Kids are expensive. So what you're trying to do is just stay out of debt as much as you can and save a little. Just keep saving. The cost of children is oftentimes your savings will sacrifice. They say that a child costs a family about $14,000 a year. Get your will set up and use that 401k. The prime earning years, I don't know if Gail and Scott had this happen, but between 40 and 55 is typically where you're going to catch up, depending upon when you've had children. Their costs are a little more fixed. And now I do like this stage of life for paying for advice, Gail. This is where you do have accumulated some wealth sometimes, and this might be a good time to pay for financial advice.
I've also been interested.
Okay, after my daughter and myself, we finished school. That was easier because we didn't have the student debt, so.
Yeah, that's right. As you pay it down more, it's easier to save. Also, as you age, your earnings go up, and therefore it's also easier to save if you can stay out of debt. And then you get that compounding interest going. But man, if I would have just put away $100 a month and been a little less stupid when I was 21, and letting compounding interest work for me. This is interesting real quick. What income taxes do you pay? Social Security and Medicare is 8%. State income tax, typically around 6%. Federal income tax depends. And in our state, you're paying sales tax on cars. It is confusing, the idea at the bottom that you're really not paying as much tax. If you look at the slide, your first 11 grand taxed at 10%. The next amount's taxed at 12, and then it goes up from there. There does come a time where earning more money is not a smart idea. And this is something a financial advisor can help you with. When you start getting over around 200K, it's probably a good idea to talk to someone about how taxes work, because a lot of what financial advisors do, surprisingly, is give you tax advice, which sophisticated financial planning is often tax advice. Any questions on graduated income tax? This is a real misconception in our country. All right, let's wrap it up. No load. Y'all know what a no load is? This is what I'd like Gail to do. This is where she
No
just,
fees on the front or the
right.
back end.
That's right. Gail, if you didn't want to hire a financial advisor, we said it before I heard from you, just buying an S&P index no load mutual fund is a great way to go. I think the average return there is around 8 or 9%. We talked about finding a no fee or a fee-based fiduciary advisor. We talked about whole life. We talked about will and trust. Let's wrap this baby up. Scott, did you learn anything at all?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You're well on your way in the game of money. What was one thing that you could take away from today?
Well, I think talking about, equity versus paying off bad debt, we've done a good job of paying off bad debt, and some of the new debt that we have, I'm confident that we can handle that without dealing with our equity.
I'd like you to leave the equity alone and use monthly budgeting and discipline. You said the word "are." Do you have a partner?
Well, my wife.
Okay. Partners make it hard because typically in families, one's a saver and one's a spender. So you would need to get the other person's buy-in. You don't need them to necessarily be as disciplined as you're going to be. If you're on this call, you're my saver, probably. But just getting buy-in that, hey, I'm going to start doing this. Will you support me? Because you don't need both people to follow the exact path. And I want you to tell your wife you're going to give her a cash spending number per month. That we are not going to track every penny, because the spenders get freaked out. Like, I can't buy my wine, or what about my race cars, or whatever. And the answer is, dearest, you are going to be given whatever number we decide on to spend however you want. I don't want to track every penny. I do not believe, I taught Dave Ramsey for a long time. I think he's too extreme. You don't have to track every penny. I think it's ideal to, but just watching where your money goes at the beginning of the month and predicting it is a great behavior. I'd encourage you to try doing the monthly budget maybe once a quarter and seeing how that goes. Gail, was this helpful in any way? We may be able to introduce you to someone who could get you a better return, but even if you just wanted to go a fee-based advisor and pay a couple $100 and then put your money in a no-load S&P index fund, that's going to be doing a whole heck of a lot better than how it is in your savings account. I mean, what are you getting on a return in that? 1 or 2%?
I don't even know if it's that. It's just sitting in the savings account, and I want to put it somewhere different than CDs. I have maybe 6 CDs, and I've staggered them all, and
Yeah.
they're either 5 or 6%, because one of them is only long term, but I think it was still 4 or something. If you don't catch them at the time, I think if you don't call and have them, make them aware that, yes, you want to keep it in there for the additional term, then if the rate is lower, because I've
They
got,
roll it over, yeah.
yeah, because they know you haven't called, 0.1 or something, and I just said, I want to terminate that and just start a new one. So whatever little bit of money I lost, I would get more.
So Gail, you're in real estate, which is very low risk. It's gone up every year, but 6 for a long time. You're in CDs, very low risk. I'd love to see you put some of this money in a index fund and just start to enjoy some of, and feel free to Google S&P index fund. It's incredible how consistent it is. Or talk to someone that you could pay to advise you, but you're in a really good situation. I will predict that Gail made her money not by earning an incredible number in salary, but by saving and being disciplined. Am I right, Gail?
Focusing on saving whatever percentage you think you're going to save, and just be disciplined about it. This is after I'd already gotten my emergency fund. And I got it up to 3 months, then 6 months, then I said, okay, a year.
Yeah.
And then I factored in not just the mortgage, but the utilities and insurance and stuff like that, just to make sure, you know, if something had happened to my job, I wouldn't have to worry until I found a new one. So,
Yeah,
after
that's
that, I
great.
just let it sit there because I don't know what the emergency could be.
It's weird that paying down debt actually starts with savings. That's kind of counterintuitive, but for my folks that are like really in debt load, the first thing we do is save $1,000 and then we save 1 month survival. Hey, we said we did on time. I'm 4 minutes over. Scott, thanks for coming. We're going to stick this on the internet. I feel free to listen to any of our other podcasts. And yes, we do mortgages, but really, we really care about our families and we want to help them build wealth. So thank you, Gail, for joining and contributing. Thank you, Scott. I'm going to wrap it up. Feel free to go on the website. Feel free to email me, text me, or call me with any questions you have. And I wish you guys a great night. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
y'all. Thank you.